Good morning, Spina. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Now, I had this ready to go and now it's not there. Mysteries of the
Yes.
universe sometimes. The button was ready and active and then it stopped being ready and active. I'm like, hello.
Yes, it
There it is.
happens. It
There it
happens.
is. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Good morning and more welcome to the Moreness-Culture. It is Sunday, means fun day. And people who are keen to grow and learn, for them, fun is learning and growing. It
Yes,
is
learning and
not a
growing is
stress, it
great
is not
fun.
an effort, it is always just fun. And it has to be fun. Otherwise, it will lose its essence, it will lose its meaning. Otherwise, life
Exactly.
will become
Exactly.
stressful. So, awareness, learning, and growing should be part of the life, not become your whole life. It should be part of your life, as in every aspect of your life. You have
Oh,
to learn and grow. This is what actually I think that okay, this is the purpose, because I personally feel that what's the point to be here on this planet Earth? To be able to go on a different planet or in a different dimension. To go there and to be appropriate there, we are just learning and growing. This is what we are doing. At least this thought makes sense to me. Otherwise, why you were here, why humans
oh,
as a species uh, are here and learning and growing all the time.
yep.
To learn appropriateness, to learn and be fluid, being adaptable, in living while living in this planet, while being appropriate. This is the real
Oh,
essence. This is the real story of human beings for me. Of course, there is always more, and I could be totally wrong, but this is what I feel.
yes,
And
yes.
learning and growing is fun, as
Right.
long as it is actually just like, how to say that, it is part of your every aspect of your life. This is what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
um
It's
uh,
integrated. It's integrated. It's
exactly,
part of
yes,
your
yes, thank you,
attunement, and
thank
you
you.
are
It has to be
integrated.
integrated. While if you are doing business, learning and growing is also there. If you are
And then
actually
everything,
just
everything.
exactly
Yeah.
in every aspect of your life, this is what
Right.
all the research is. This is how people were inventing things and still inventing, and they are actually exploring spaces now.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what
And
we
to
are doing
put it
anyway.
in way of impeccability terms, it's about
Yes,
developing and enhancing awareness. This is what the
exactly,
purpose and meaning of
exactly,
life. Um,
absolutely, absolutely. So this was the
a
thought of the
wonderful
day,
thing to
that
do. A wonderful
awareness
thing to do. And when
needs to
like
be.
integrated.
Sorry, it was an
Uh,
overlap.
uh,
So please continue.
oh, no, that's okay. I was just adding to what you're saying there. Just this integrated. It's a very key point. That you mentioned. I'm just love it. It's just appreciating.
Yes, yes. So we are here, and today we are going to continue with Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings, or the Book of Five Rings, or a Book of Five Rings, or Ring. But I don't know that, okay, because
Yeah.
translation
Five
is
ring book.
like
Five ring book. That's how I think the
Five ring book,
translation.
yes, five ring book. Yes, that it sounds more appropriate, because
Yeah.
translation, like communication, is a haphazard business. Because it's when someone is writing something, especially when they are sharing awareness, or especially when they are writing poetry, it is more from their intent. It is much
Yes.
depends
Yeah.
on really uh, more than any other type genre of writing poetry, and when they are sharing awareness,
Yeah.
we need to really really pay attention to the intent, to how this person is saying something. This is most important, most crucial. And unfortunately, in translation, we cannot be sure that it is communicating well the intent of that writer, whoever was the sharer at that time. Poetry also, and when people are trying to share awareness, like Musashi, we don't know. We are assuming about his intent. Why he
Yes.
was so keen about killing the enemy.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
all about having a deliberate trust on his intent to goodness, and then reading. Otherwise, it's a horrible book.
Yes.
Like, okay,
Yes.
why do you are continuously just people preaching people to kill, how to kill enemies, how to kill other people, cutting and all that. That's a war. But we are choosing to deliberately building a trust, having a trust on his intent to goodness.
Yes.
And it changes
Yes.
everything. It changes everything.
Wow. Very
It is
powerful.
hard to
Very
do that.
powerful. Yeah.
Yes, it is hard to do that all the time.
Yes.
That you just keep trusting that, okay, yes, I know that whatever this person is saying is coming out of goodness. It is coming from the goodness, intent to goodness.
It's
It
a
is
good
hard.
habit to develop. This is a power
Yes,
habit. This is a
yes,
power habit. We want to be
yes,
careful about habits. We want them to be deliberate. But this one
yes,
is very useful to shift, to choose that we choose to believe that the intent is good. Yes, and we assess all the probabilities, but there's no reason to say it isn't. Yeah. And when we do
yes,
this, it enhances things massively. Very powerful,
exactly,
Bina. Very
exactly.
powerful.
Yes,
All right, here we go. It's screen share.
yes.
And we continue. Sorry, I don't know if I thought you were
No, no,
done.
no. It is that was the thing. Usually, it is because just to fill in the time when you are sharing things. So just to having like an awkward silence here.
Yeah.
Though we don't have any problem with awkward silence. This is something I learned from Way-of-Impeccability. No problem at all.
Yeah.
It's
No.
there's nothing such like awkward silence. It's just like having
It's
a
not an issue.
pause. Yes,
Correct.
it's not an
Correct.
issue, no problem at all, because we don't feel responsible or obliged to
Wow.
do anything rather than just being positive, stay positive or neutral. That's it. So
Exactly.
it's not a problem, but it's still in lives due to some technical and issues, we need to fill in because otherwise the AI is also getting into trouble and all that. So that's why I
Right,
just fill
right,
in
right, right,
while
right, right.
still sharing. So,
Yes.
Sir, please, you have to read today because I'm having guests like usually. This is the usual thing
Yeah, I have to
Sunday.
read why? I have to read why?
No, because I have guests at my
Oh, I
home.
see. All right.
Yes,
All right. Well,
yes.
maybe the guests would enjoy listening to what you have to say.
They are busy in chatting and doing other
Ah, no
stuff.
problem.
Yes.
I understand. It's all good. All good. As
Okay.
appropriate. As appropriate. Now, this we come to be a very interesting point here. I mean, right from the get-go, before we even read, to become the enemy. Now, he puts to become the enemy in quotation marks here, but I would just from the start put enemy into quotation marks, right? To become the other, in other words. Yes. Now, he's putting it in this particular context, but in our context, we when we learn to become the other, uh, you're learning about yourself. Yes, because every other person is a potential you. And when we start to think of it this way, it's a very incredible thing. And we get to understand things from the inside. This is most powerful, most powerful. All right, so let's read here and share and see where we go with this. To become the enemy. To become the enemy means to think yourself into the enemy's position. In the world, people tend to think of a robber trapped in a house as a fortified enemy. However, if we think of becoming the enemy, we feel that the whole world is against us and there is no escape. Wow, wow. He who is shut inside is a pheasant. He who enters to a rest is a hawk. You must appreciate this. But let's go back a bit. Again, Musashi's writing style is not an abstract conceptual thinker. Yeah. But however, if we think of becoming the enemy, we feel that the whole world is against us and there is no escape. Now he's putting it very literally here, right? From a sword fighting point of view, military point of view. But this applies psychologically. People make themselves the victim by thinking they are the enemy. They've become the enemy, in which they don't think of themselves as the enemy, but they think the whole world's against them, right? So, but if the whole world is against you, well, then you're the enemy of the whole world. Musashi puts it in that way, which is very interesting to think about, right? In this context of self-pity and feeling put upon and feeling the whole world is against you. This is very powerful, right? Very, very powerful. Now again, this hawk and pheasant superiority paradigm stuff, so we can skip over that. We don't need to be the enemy of the world, and we don't need the whole world to be our enemy. We can collaborate with the world, and we're in a much better world, right? A world of collaboration, everybody benefits. World of competition, There's very little benefit, even for the winners. Yeah, it's not all that great. In large scale strategy, people are always under the impression the enemy is strong and so tend to become cautious. But if you have good soldiers and if you understand the principles of strategy and if you know how to beat the enemy, there's nothing to worry about. A quick point on strategy, which I haven't mentioned before, especially with this appreciation of the world being the enemy, especially in larger context, we always tend to think the enemy is stronger than us, and we have this primitive mindset, superiority culture mindset that stronger always wins. It's not so. Strategy depends on many things and many circumstances, many situations. All right, so take the typical wrestling match or wrestling competition, right? So we go and the teams, let's say from different schools or whatever, and we enter the team. All right, so now we have typically there are rankings in things like wrestling or boxing or whatever. So let's say, just for argument's sake, right? Your team is comprised of the number one ranked, the number third ranked, and the number fifth ranked. My team is of the number two ranked, and the number four ranked, and the number six ranked. You've got the stronger team by far. Yes. Okay. I say fine. Yeah. Let's have this match. Yeah. You've got the stronger team, but let's even things out a bit. Yeah, you get the strong. Let's say we even got to pick the teams. I say, okay, you get to pick first, but I get to choose the matchups. So you pick the number one, and you pick the strongest ones, and I pick the second strongest. There we go. But because you got the first choice, giving you the stronger team, I choose the matchups. I'll win every time. Why? Because I'm not going to put one against two, or my two against your one, and my four against your three, and my six against your five. No, I'm going to put your one against my six. Now my two goes against your three, and my four against your five. How is the competition determined? By right number of wins. So I'm going to win 2 out of 3 every single time, because
Wow.
there's this great mismatch between 1 and 6. Yeah,
Yes.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you win by a lot. Yeah. Now, this can equally apply when you in a militarily point of view, right? In a warfare situation, yeah, same thing. Okay, your number 6 will kill my number 1, but if I give the instructions to the number 1, don't fight, run away, distract, just guard and defend. Keep number 6 going as long as you can. Just keep running away, run in circles if you need to, have them chase you. Then, when number 2 beats number 3 and number 4 beats number 5, then all 3 of you can get together and beat number 6. See? Strategy. Yeah. We tend to think obviously, but that's the point of strategy. It's learning to think differently. Take the parameters and don't assume that the obvious applies. See how you can configure things to not be obvious. Yes, like in this case. Yeah. We're changing the whole dynamic simply by shifting the matchups. Very simple, very basic strategy, but you'll be amazed how often this is not considered. People don't even think about it. Well, I got the weaker team, and well, what can you do? Do your best, guys. Maybe we'll get lucky, and maybe they'll have an off day, and maybe you can win as the underdog and raise your rankings, which does happen, right? It does happen. People improve. They're not necessarily there where they are, and on that day, okay, the lesser defeat the bigger. Okay, wonderful. I just need 2 out of 3. Okay, it happens, but don't base your hope on that. Yes, Bina.
Okay, so we have someone who joined us on Instagram. I
Wonderful.
always struggle. Nazhak, I guess this is the name. If I'm pronouncing it right. Welcome to the Moreness-Culture, Nazhak. And today we are reading.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing project we are doing. It's a capital R reading of Miyamura Musashi's book, The Book of Five Ring or Book of Five Rings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we are doing capital R reading. Just to give you a brief introduction to capital R reading, it involves more than just reading the book and waiting for that, okay, what will come next, what will come next. We do read
Yeah,
as appropriate always and still because he has such a really brilliant understanding of Japanese culture at the time, especially samurai culture and some historic
yeah,
context also. So he is providing us the context that why Miyamura Musashi was saying something, whatever he's saying in this book. So he's providing us
yeah.
the context to understand the Japanese culture, society, and the mindset at that time. So
Right,
it is
right,
becoming
right.
more fun. And this is what people are reading. It is not only just reading, but also we do share our takeaways and feedback into that. So once you
Yeah,
will do read a book with capital R reading, you will be far ahead of just reading many books again like normally,
yes,
because it will give you complete understanding of that. Of course, not 100% because there is always more, like we always say in Way of Impeccability. But this is what we are doing. So welcome to the Moreness-Culture
yes,
and welcome to capital R reading practice of
yeah.
Musashi's book. So please still continue.
Yeah, and also it's not only about providing the background. Capital R reading, in many cases, you're not necessarily reading something that has a historical context, like in this case, or a cultural context. But it's also capital R reading is to read and pay attention to abstract understanding so that we see the more involved. This is mostly what the focus of capital R reading is, right, Bina? And I know in this case it's very helpful, the
Yes.
historical context, but in
Yes.
general, capital R reading, it is to
Yes.
extract the full meaning of what's being said because there's always more than we are able
Exactly.
to say simply in words. So it's to look at those levels, those extra layers. Now, not all reading has the intent to do this, right? I mean, I know
Yes.
from people that I've discussed with, but just because somebody doesn't intend it doesn't mean we can extract that moreness. And this is one of the prime skills that we apply with our capital R reading, right? I mean, we are practiced at this, at extracting more. It's part of way of impeccability. We insist on extracting the more. There's a whole
Exactly.
session just on that one
Yes.
sentence, right? And goes through every detail of it. And this is very, very powerful because now we are that more. We're extracting what's connected to us, what's useful to us, what's meaningful to us, what connects to our lives. And that varies. What the author intended and what we get out of it, two different things, doesn't matter. We develop that ability to get more regardless of what's intended. Yeah, very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Like in this case, we're getting psychological value here and spiritual value, motivational value, energy value, not necessarily intended by Musashi. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be very, very happy to hear that we do, though. All right, let's continue. In single combat, also, you must put yourself in the enemy's position. If you think, here is a master of the way who knows the principles of strategy, then you will surely lose. You must consider this deeply. Yeah. Now, in in way of impeccability, we have many capital terms like capital T trust. Now, capital T trust is incredibly powerful, and it can only be capital T trust because it's based on impeccability in the first place. In other words, you've done, let's say you're in this fight now, right? As this duelist, let's just use Musashi's literal example here of physical, this, right? Your life is on the line. Now, when you have this, you will surely lose. What can you do from a way of impeccability point of view? First of all, you'll be impeccable, which means you'll do everything you can do to prepare for this if you can't avoid it, right? And well, hopefully you'll not even get into the position of fight, but assuming you can't, right? This is just the way things are going. You can't. So you've done everything you can. You've prepared. You've researched. You've practiced. You've trained, etc. Right? Now, there's only one thing. If it cannot be avoided, if it's part of attunement, it's also part of way of impeccability. If attunement is bringing this to you, you have to trust. You have to trust. That is the one thing you can do. And in other words, if you're not trusting, you become the enemy. You've already lost. Yeah. You have to trust that even though technically you can't win. You never know. That master may get the gnat fly into his eye, and I start wondering, you can't see. Okay, see, you never know. Things aren't always the way we think or expect them to be. When you understand this as the way, right? This understanding that life works differently to the way we think it does. It's built into the way of impeccability. It is a way. There are many ways. Yes, Musashi mentioned them earlier, like in Taoism, which is the way of virtue, or at least one way to call it is the way of virtue. Many you mentioned Confucianism as well. Of course, Bushido is a different way. Zen is a different way. At least in the context of Musashi, the ways that he was aware of, right? And he mentioned some of them, but he's got his own way now, which he's mentioning, yes, which is this way of strategy. Now, it's not new to Musashi. Sun Tzu is around very much before that, and he called the sword fighters were known as strategists, right? Katana fighters, to be more particular, and not necessarily all sword fighters, but in this context of, because the katana is the special place in the mythology of the time, right? In the samurai Bushido culture, and just in overall general Japanese culture as a whole, right? It was a very special deal, very big deal. I mean, only samurai could wear them, right? The ordinary person not allowed to wear it, and you had to wear the daisho, the two set, the long and the short, the katana and the wakizashi, if you want to be precise about the terminology. Oh, talking about precise terminology, the sword breaker is called a jite. The Japanese one, which I forgot that the Japanese had a slight variation. I was thinking of the European version that's like kind of like a comb with short wide teeth. The Japanese one is just a steel rod that's got a hook at the bottom, just a hook like that. That's it. And especially this was used in the Edo period by the Japanese police. Yeah, used very successfully. So just catch the sword, angle it, twist, disarm the person. Life is easy. Yeah, yeah. So it's very interesting how the sword breaker, or jite as it's called, the Japanese version is called the jite, Jitte, how such a simple thing can be very powerful. And it somewhat ends up canceling this myth of the katana as the supreme powerful spiritual weapon, as your soul, and all the mythos that goes into making it, and all this big deal, right? Yeah, you come along with a sword breaker, and well, so we have to be careful with myths and making things more than what they really are. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's nice from a spiritual point of view. It's a nice idea, but we have to be real with the ideas. How much actual value is here? And this myth led to a lot of trouble, actually. Especially when guns came along. It was a big deal. I mean, you watch that movie with Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai. You get an idea of this, right? This mythos of the the katana. All right, to release four hands. To release four hands is used when you and the enemy are contending with the same spirit, and the issue cannot be decided. Abandon the spirit and win through an alternative resource. Strategy. Win through an alternative resource. Yes. A large case strategy, when there is a forehand spirit, do not give up. It is man's existence. Immediately throw away the spirit and win with a technique the enemy does not expect. In single combat also, when you think we have fallen into the forehand situation, we must defeat the enemy by changing our mind and applying a suitable technique according to his condition. You must be able to judge this. Yeah, if you can't judge the other person's condition, you can't change, right? So this, for know your enemy, it's an old adage that goes back way. It's as old as know thyself. Yes. Now, to know others is to know yourself. Usually it's said the other way around. To know yourself is to know others. Both apply. Both apply. It's very important. The more you make an effort to know yourself, the more you'll know others. The more you make an effort to know others, the more you'll know yourself. The one feeds off the others. Very, very powerful. Very powerful indeed. And very cool to know and see and be and use. Knowing others and knowing yourself, incredibly valuable. Not only valuable, but useful. And this whole point of thinking differently, thinking alternatively, when we start to look at this in the abstract, we want to change the parameters. What does it mean to win? The moment you shift that, your strategy opens up incredibly. Yes. Well, to win means to kill the enemy or to defeat them, injure them, whatever. There might be other ways to win. What if you get the enemy to quit? I haven't cut him, I haven't killed him, but I've still won. See? What if the enemy just gets exhausted? You might not get them to quit psychologically, like as in demoralize them, but what if they get so exhausted they cannot continue fighting? Well, now you've won too. See? Now you can win without having to cut them or kill them, injure them, whatever. See, many different ways to win. It's really interesting, right? So if you have this understanding and you're in this, with somebody who's technically better than you, like you fighting this master or whatever, you don't have to fight to win. You have to fight to last. Yes. And that's a very different thing. You might not have the same degree of skill but you can have enough skill to potentially block their attacks, especially if your intent is not to fight, is tend to wear them down. Yes. It changes the way your strategy works. Yeah. And especially in fighting. Fighting is one of the most energy intensive things we can do. It takes a huge amount of energy. Yeah. It's very energy draining. It's quite amazing. Right? But if you now go into it with an energy conservation point of mind, you're going to be fighting very differently, and you can get your enemy to squander much of their energy on their fierceness of their attacks, and they just get exhausted, especially when your adrenaline fades. And you can go and look it up. It's a well-known thing. It's called an adrenaline dump. You really hyper. You got lots of energy, and then the adrenaline goes away, and you get that dump, and you collapse, and you fall, and you feel really lousy, and your energy is all drained and all that, right? Go from one extreme to the other. So this applies in the office situation as well. Yes, you don't always need to win by these great, glorious over. You can win in subtle ways, in different ways, unobvious ways. Changes your strategy. Does that make sense, Bina? Bina, you there? Oh, that's what I wanted to check. I wanted to see.
Yes,
I
yes.
changed the. Uh, oh, okay. So I don't know. I can't see because I'm seeing the double thing vision now. But when you look at Instagram, is it showing us when we speak? I know we're in screen share mode now. But
Yes.
is it showing appropriately? I'm trying to get this
Yes.
back. Okay, it's not cutting me in half anymore like it did before.
Because no, it's not your picture, so I don't know, but it is showing me the screen.
Okay,
So
well let me do it like this before the screen share and see. So
mhm.
now have a look. Then I ended the screen share. Is it showing us in full screen or is it still showing us half size when we talk?
Half the size because I still see your face full on screen, and then you can check on your mobile phone also.
Yeah, I'm looking, but yeah, well, it is better. It is better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is
Great.
better. Yeah. I think I'm a little off because I'm not quite center in, to the camera. And because it's vertical, it takes the center of the screen. You see, if you
Okay.
look
Now you
now,
are center. Yes.
you see, I
Yes.
have to I have to
Yes.
make that effort to sit a little bit more centered. It's just how my
Yes.
seating and the camera arranges itself here. And it zooms me in a bit much. But oh well, okay. You can count my pause now. All right, I just wanted to check that. I know we get a bit off track of what we're doing, but it is important, and there's no other way to really check it unless you make that effort
Yes.
to do it. So, all right, let's get back to where we were. I mean, I know the screen sharing throws things off a bit, but uh, at least can you read when I do the screen sharing on Instagram or not? Otherwise, it
Oh no,
might not.
it's no, it is a bit this small. Like for me, maybe it is just
Okay.
me.
Well, I mean, you can always, with your fingers expand it, but I mean, it's showing at least that if you do expand it, you can read or not.
Okay, I will check. Please share
Okay.
screen.
Okay. Did I not share now? Oh, was trying to share and then I did something else. Okay, there we go. Right, sharing. There we go. All right, let's continue. And you tell me,
No,
after
I
a while.
cannot do this. I cannot do this.
Or you can't expand it with your fingers to
No.
make it bigger? Oh.
Why it is
All
saying
right.
live video has ended?
Oh.
No, it is there. It's just,
Oh.
I think. Anyway.
You may have clicked stop or pause or something. All right. To move the shade. To move the shade is used when you cannot see the enemy's spirit. In large-scale strategy, when you cannot see the enemy's position, indicate that you're about to attack strongly to discover his resources. It is easy then to defeat him with a different method once you see his resources. In single combat, if the enemy takes up a rear or side attitude of the longsword, of the katana, so that you cannot see his intention, make a feint attack, and the enemy will show you his katana, thinking he sees your spirit. Benefiting from what you are shown, you can win with certainty. If you are negligent, you will miss the timing. Research this well. uh, in our usage here, it is gain information. Don't just always be acting on what you think is there, what you expect to be there. Check, 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 check. It's part of impeccability. Checking and testing. To hold down a shadow. Holding down a shadow is used when you can see the enemy's attacking spirit. In large-scale strategy, when the enemy embarks on an attack, if you make a show of strongly suppressing his technique, he will change his mind. Then, altering your spirit, defeat him by forestalling him with a void spirit. Or, in single combat, hold down the enemy's strong intention with suitable timing and defeat him by forestalling him with this timing. How can we use this? You must study this well. How can we use this in our modern day life? We don't want to go around defeating at the same time, right? Let's say I'm in again that corporate business meeting. I don't have to do things so obviously. I want to because if I do the same way everybody else's does, oh, okay, I want to get a promotion, I want to get noticed. I'm not going to do this. So do things differently. You don't always have to do the way things are expected to be. You can be creative, come up with alternatives. Just think a little more. If you think a little more, think outside the box, which is where this comes from. Look at alternatives. Question the parameters. Question the parameters. This is the key to this, key to all strategy, all behavior as well. Question the parameters. When we start shifting the parameters around, now like in other words, the parameters are, well, I want to win, I want to be noticed, right? And you think that winning means a certain thing. Oh, the parameters. Well, winning doesn't only mean this. I can win in this way, win in that way. And then when you see winning via collaboration, now you've gained a bigger glory and wonder and magic and moreness, right? So instead of trying to stick out, be the best team builder, be the best collaborator, make others around you better. Everybody benefits, you included. Yeah, that's Moreness-Culture. That's Moreness-Culture. Right. To pass on. Many things are said to be passed on. Sleepiness can be passed on, and yawning can be passed on. Time can be passed on also. Queuing, capital C, queuing, major conception in the language of conceptuality, in the dictionary of power of way of impeccability. That's what he's talking about here, right? Yawning is a very obvious way, or a very obvious example of queuing. We are very susceptible to queuing. Now, time can be queued as well. Very powerful to understand this. You can do this. I'm assuming what coming. I'm just my guess would be what Musashi is going to refer to is you can do this via rhythm and pattern, etc. Right? In large-scale strategy, when the enemy is agitated and shows an inclination to rush, do not mind in the least. Make a show of complete calmness, and the enemy will be taken by this and will become relaxed. When you see that the spirit has passed on, you can bring about the enemy's defeat by attacking strongly with a void spirit. Now, when he says spirit here, we can read it as attitude, mindset, belief, morale, all of those put together, right? This would mean spirit, right? Spirit in that sense, like it's a spirited debate, or he has a good spirit, right? Is very spirited, right? Energetic attitude, mindset, yes, all of those put together, spirit, yeah. And it's very interesting how you can cue timing. And then you can upset the timing by insisting on your timing and not letting your timing be dictated by something else. Right? This is very powerful. Now, again, we want to learn to see the spirit of the world, which is what attunement is all about. And we want to align with that. Yeah, because that's not something you can easily change. It's like surfing. Yeah, you may have all the spirit in the world, but the wave is the wave. It comes, and that's it. You either ride it or don't. You either let it pass you by as a missed opportunity, or you don't ride it appropriately and you catch it at the wrong point and it dumps you. And see, so all about this attunement and alignment to energy. Yeah, when we see this, very, very powerful. So be aware that this passing on, it doesn't apply to all things. Yes, some forces are beyond us. We can't do like the waves. How do you resist a wave? I mean, yes, you can disperse the energy by putting a wall and crashing it, but other than that, the wave is the wave. It just keeps moving until it gets stopped or dispersed. Yeah, but then you're not really getting the use out of it. Yeah, so energy is out there for us to use. This is the magic of attunement. Yeah. Just learn from surfing. And it applies to other things, but surfing is such a great illustration of it, about attunement and alignment. It's very, very powerful. This void spirit also, when we understand this, it's you're not doing anything in particular. You're coming out of nowhere. So that makes you unpredictable, makes you unexpected. Yes, very powerful. Very, very powerful. In single combat, you can win by relaxing your body and spirit, and then catching on to the moment the enemy relaxes, attacking strongly and quickly, forestalling him. What is known as getting someone drunk is similar to this. You can also infect the enemy with a bored, careless, or weak spirit. You must study this well. Queuing, capital C, queuing. Yeah. It's a fantastic thing if you pay attention to mothers and good teachers, yes, and other professionals. They use cueing to get what's appropriate, yeah, and they cue you into the behavior, yeah. They don't really do anything, but there's a cueing involved, right? As in providing you with subtle clues or cues, like an actor. Okay, you get your cue. Oh, it's my turn to go. You behave as responsively, and you behave according to that clue, that stimulus. It it is there's a connection between it and how you behave. You don't behave randomly because of the cue. The cue, depending on the nature of the cue, determines particular behavior. It's, it's unbelievably powerful, right? Very useful to be aware of. And also, not only to be aware of how we can cue others, but how we can be cued by others. Yeah. And we have to be very careful of this. Right? Musashi doesn't mention this from a point that you got to be careful of not being cued. Pay attention. Where are your moods coming from? Do I choose them, or are they being prompted by the circumstance, the situation, by the behavior of others? And this is something in our daily life that's most important. Yes. We might not even be realized that, like you said, sleepiness can be passed on or can be cued. Well, so can anger, annoyance, irritation, botheration. Hmm? So we may respond and react to somebody, they bothered by something, and and we pick up on that and we cued, we inadvertently cued, we don't even realize it. And now you end up with stress. Don't need to. So you have to be very careful of that, especially if you are sensitive to others and you're making an effort to be so. We can pick up on their things and not always realize it, right? So be careful of this. Cueing both ways, very, very powerful. To cause loss of balance. I would, he's got balance capitalized in the subtitle, but But yeah, many things can cause a loss of balance. Now, he may be meaning literal balance, but when you think of balance in terms of the capital B balance, yeah, if you discombobulate it, if you're getting what's not expected, this throws you out of balance. See, capital B balance goes a bit further. Many things can cause a loss of balance. One causes danger, another is hardship, and another is surprise. You must research this. Again, see, a loss of balance is typically when things don't go as expected. We get a disruption of some kind. Yeah, we get loss of balance, or something comes and presses against us, or our footing is changed, like literal balance, right? What are all the different ways that literal balance can affect it? So, you think, well, something can come and push you or knock you, bump you, whatever. Wind can push you over, but you can also be disrupted on your balance without external forces or without your footing being changed. For instance, you may have a hearing issue, so, and your inner balance goes. So you get psychological balance that can affect physical balance. Yeah? Many ways to disrupt balance, or many ways our balance can get disrupted. It's very important to be aware of capital B balance. And of course, especially when you're moving, it's even more important. Balance is very important. We may get slightly off balance, but to maintain our capital B balance in life, it is, as Bina said earlier, right, in opening remarks there of a thought for the day. If we could summarize that, Bina, look at it from a different way, come at it from a different perspective, right? To do a repeat back on it, I could say what you were talking about was maintaining capital B balance when it comes to learning and growing and living. Yes, Bina? Ah, maybe Bina has to attend to a guest since she's not here right now. But, if we go back and listen to that, you'll hear Bina's talking about maintaining balance, having appropriate balance in life. This is absolutely crucial. And Musashi's mentioned this earlier too about the middle way. The middle way is all about capital B balance. Don't be too excessive. Yes. Unless it's appropriate. And this is the magic of appropriateness. Because when you take that middle way and you take it too literally, you never use the excess because, well, you must stick to the middle way. Too literal. Appropriateness is sometimes you have to be extreme in order to balance another extreme. See? Appropriateness more powerful. And that allows you to temporarily be unbalanced or out of balance because it's appropriate, it's needed. And it is sometimes, yes. So, I mean, if something's coming at me and I lose my balance to avoid being hit by it, well, that's appropriate, see? Appropriateness trumps all. Appropriateness is about the only thing that's always appropriate. Whenever you say always with other things, there's always an exception, pretty much, right? Yeah, it's very powerful. So appropriateness, though, always appropriate. In large-scale strategy, it is important to cause loss of balance. Attack without warning when the enemy is not expecting it. And while his spirit is undecided, follow up your advantage and, having taken the lead or having the lead, defeat him. Or in single combat, start by making a show of being slow, then suddenly attack strongly, without allowing space for breath to recover from the fluctuation of spirit. You must grasp the opportunity to win. Get the feel of this. Again, just powerful stuff. When you understand the abstract, yes, then you can do much. Balance in like in wrestling and in martial arts, like in MMA. Watch those fighters. See what happens when a fighter gets out of balance. This fight shifts. Yes. So again, we don't want to be fighting, but we can see this with life. That we're not in a fight with life, but if you get out of balance, your life becomes stressful, becomes problematic, becomes difficult, becomes harder. Stay in balance. Stay in balance. Stay in balance. Especially we see this with tiredness. Tiredness is the most classic example of getting out of balance. Yeah, very simple, very obvious. Make sense, Bina? Are you back? No, Bina's still busy. All good, all good. Bina got obligations. I mean, I just love that she came and she's here, but she also has other things that are involved. Her life is very busy and full. Bina lives a most marvelous and wonderful life. To frighten. Fright often occurs caused by the unexpected. Is frighten is kind of different here to fear. Yes. So frighten is to startle, for instance. Yes. Which is, when you're startled, you're not necessarily afraid, but you have that startleness. You put out. You have a temporary loss of balance. Yes. A big loss of balance. And when your balance is significantly impaired, you now run the risk of falling. And we have an instinctual uh, response to to react against falling, to counter falling. We don't want to fall. This is the whole point of balance, is to prevent us from falling. Yes, because falling typically not so good. Let me just check and see if there's any comments on Instagram. Oh, a lot of people have joined. Dushka is here. Hello, Dushka. Hello, Lubna. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see you guys. And ah, let's see. Montserrat US Diet Ista. That's a long name. I'll just call you Mont. It's hard to pronounce, hard to read. Brilliant, Tushka. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I love it. I love seeing you guys here. Hello, hello, and I love that you're commenting and saying hello. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. I'm not sure why it doesn't show here in my comments in Restream, but so be it. I do check them. Yeah, I do check. So hello, Dushka. I love that you guys are here. I love it. I love it, and love you too. I know Dushka and Lubna. They are part of Venus' magical world, and they are magical people. They are truly magical people. Wonderful, wonderful, magical people. Yeah. In the new nobility perspective, Nobelia perspective, angels, angels. They are angels, not religious angels. Angels from the time before. Just angels as marvelous, wonderful creatures whose point and purpose is goodness and moreness. In large scale strategy, you can frighten the enemy not just by what you present to their eyes, but by shouting, making a small force seem large, or by threatening them from the flank without warning. These things all frighten. You can win by making best use of the enemy's frightened rhythm. In single combat, also, you must use the advantage of taking the enemy unawares by frightening him with your body, longsword, or voice. To defeat him, you should research this well. Now, again, we don't want to be fighting, but how can we use this? We don't want to be startled, frightened, thrown off balance by the unexpected. What can you do to prevent this? Powerful strategy already previously mentioned many times. It is by developing the habit and the ability to anticipate the world around you. In order to anticipate, you need to be aware of your surroundings. So you get that benefit. But awareness alone is not enough. Sometimes you can be aware, but things happen and it's too late. You notice it, but it's already happened. Anticipation sees it before it happens, and therefore you can act ahead of time. In other words, through anticipation, you provide yourself with just that few microseconds sometimes of ability to respond rather than react. Yes. Now, with anticipation also comes extrapolation. Those two skills, when applied, give us that time to think, that time to respond rather than react. Yes. This is incredibly valuable in life. Incredibly valuable. Absolutely most preciously valuable. Bina, I don't want to go and see on Facebook, but somebody's messaging me there. If it's something that's urgent, deal with it. Otherwise, they just have to wait. Unless if they were commenting, it would show over here. Because the Facebook comments to show you. Facebook and YouTube. I don't know why the Instagram comments don't show you. I don't know. It's all good though. All right. So let me just check on the Instagram there real quick. Love you too and love you more. Yes. Yeah. There's always more to love. There's always more to love. And anybody has moreness in them. This is our task. Yes. Rather than looking in Musashi's world, in superiority paradigm world, you're looking for weakness in others. in Nobelia, in Moreness-Culture, we're looking for more in others. It's always there. It's always there. We just have to make the effort to look. Most people don't show their moreness because of superiority paradigm. There's negatives towards showing your moreness sometimes. And we don't show it, but it's always there. When you look a little bit and see it and appreciate it, capital A, appreciate, one of those A terms in the A plus philosophy that underlines all of this. Appreciation is incredibly powerful. Once you start making the effort to appreciate, you'll see that moreness. And once you start seeing it, you live in a moreness world. Unbelievable world, right? We have so much moreness all around us. We just need to train ourselves to see it. When we're in this superiority paradigm logic, which is a fear-based mindset, all you're seeing is threat, insecurity. Oh, man, what a horrible world to live in. Yes. If you're paying attention to the more, for instance, I use this example of, paying attention to tiger. I'm walking through the jungle, okay, and I'm worried about tiger. Oh my God, tiger could eat me. And tigers still do eat people today, still, right? It's a very real threat. They do sometimes. It's not their primary source of food, but they do. Not just tiger, but okay, tiger's a better example than polar bear because, well, it's kind of easy to see polar bears out there in the open. Well, easier, right? You can notice them a bit better than tiger. The tiger can hide a bit easy. All right. Anyway, so I want to avoid being eaten by tiger, and I'm walking through the jungle, and I'm like, "Where's tiger? Where's tiger? Where's tiger?" Right? And okay, okay, it's gone quiet over there. Whatever, some rustle. Okay, maybe tiger's there. But how does this affect my experience? I'm so focused on paying attention to tiger, I don't notice all the glorious beauty around me, like in my background here, right? However, if I'm paying attention to all the glorious beauty all around me, right? I'm paying attention to everything around me. I'm going to notice tiger if tiger's there. I'm going to notice an anomaly. I'm going to notice if something's a bit off and odd in all of the beauty and moreness. So by paying attention to the moreness all around me, really paying attention and truly appreciating, I'm going to notice tiger when tiger's in amongst it all there. But paying attention only to tiger, yes, this makes me not see when bear comes along and wants to eat me, or doesn't see the snake in the road or whatever, right? So it can make you too single focused, and that's very dangerous. Yeah. Not only that, but you lose out by losing out all the joy. So there's a more sophisticated strategy that gives greater value, and that is pay attention to all the moreness, and you'll notice the lessness also and be able to deal with it when it comes. But in the meantime, you get all the joy and the moreness of enjoying all the moreness that you are now appreciating and paying attention to and aware of, right? All those 8 terms there. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So we can use this, what Musashi is saying about to frighten. He's using it offensively, but we can use it strategically to say, I don't want to be on the other side of that. Yes, don't want to be taken unexpected. Yeah? To soak in. When you have come to grips, when you have come to grips and are striving together with the enemy, and you realize that you cannot advance, you soak in and become one with the enemy. You can win by applying a suitable technique while you are mutually entangled. In battles involving large numbers as well as in fights with small numbers, you can often win decisively with the advantage of knowing how to soak into the enemy. Whereas when you two, I guess it must be TWO, when you two draw apart, you would lose the chance to win. Research this well. It is unusual to find typos in professionally edited books such as this one, right? But they happen. Right. Right. So this soaking in, let's see, how can we use this in our everyday life? Learn to soak into your partner. Another word for it is to commune. When we commune with our partner, when we soak in nature, yes, we commune with nature. Wow, this is what people go on retreats for and pay money for and all of this, right? But we can learn to do this. It's not a big deal. Just make that that effort to do so, apply the energy to do so, and understand that it can be done. Right? It is really when we soak into another, it's connecting, capital C, connecting, communing. It's incredibly powerful. If you are in any kind of typical work situation, uh, especially if you're dealing with clients, to soak into your client, this this gives you a fantastic benefit. Yes, you know where they're coming from. You know what's important. You're feeling them. And when you say, I feel you, that's exactly what it means. When you really do that, when you're fully saying that, not just, oh, well, I feel you, like I hear you, like saying it as a polite thing or as a sort of acknowledgement. No, when you really do this, right, that's what you're soaking into others. And you can soak into the world, which is what we're trying to do with attunement. Soak into the world. Right? Let the world soak into you. This is power of attunement. When you live in attunement, life is easy because you're not battling against things. You're moving with them as appropriate. You learn to use them. You can ride those waves. Yes, you're not just getting out of the way of the waves, bobbing up and down there. No, you learn to use them, align them, get joy out of it. Very, very powerful. All right. I Since it's Sunday, I want to just end a bit earlier, and finish here, to injure the corners. Let's see. Yeah, because there's a whole bunch more of these things that are coming here, and so we'll continue to tomorrow with this. Yeah, to
Okay.
injure the corners.
Okay.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yes, it sounds appropriate to end it here,
Yes,
because this concept of to become your enemy in a different way is very interesting, and of course, as you shared, it's very powerful. It's I don't like to use this word because it sounds very
sure.
superiority paradigm concept, that okay, it's a next level thing, but actually it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
dimension, because it's not easy, it's not simple to get into this mindset, to get into this way of being.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can actually, because to kill your enemy, the best way is to make friend of them. This is it's not easy, it's not natural, like something is just naturally coming to everyone. I I don't think so, because I haven't seen that. Maybe it's just lack of my experience. But this is something really profound. And if we can acquire this, then right there it's a paradigm shift for the whole world. Because if you are changing the concept of enemy, and instead of fighting with them, instead of resisting, just being friend with them. Of course, it needs a lot. It requires a lot of understanding, a lot of awareness, and a whole lot of patience to do that. Because why people become enemies of each other? Of course, first, miscommunication. Second, superiority paradigm, big time. And the third is that they feel threatened. Of course, it's a part of the
The
superiority paradigm.
third is what? Say again, please. Third is
They
what?
feel threatened. They feel scared of.
All right, right.
There's of course lack of awareness. So these
Yeah,
things are I think that okay, these are the things which makes anyone an enemy to someone else. To
correct,
resolve these things, of
correct.
course, it needs a lot of awareness, patience,
Yes,
and understanding. And
yes.
also I think that it is what you shared, to kill your enemy, the best way to kill your enemy is to make friend of them, to be
To
friend of
defeat,
them.
defeat, defeat, not kill. To defeat your
Okay,
enemy.
okay. To defeat your enemy is the best thing is to be a friend with them. This is
Yeah,
not a general, it's part of a strategy.
correct,
This is a
correct.
gesture, capital G gesture from the Moreness.
Yes,
This
yes,
is not
yes.
something like, okay, it's innate and it's like everyone can be convinced with this idea easily, or they can understand even, because
Yeah.
it's a gesture. And
And it comes from sophisticated ethics.
exactly, exactly. Exactly. So what Syl is sharing here is part of the Moreness-Project, and there are so many ideas, concepts,
Oh,
perspectives from Moreness-Project, and of course from Way-of-Impeccability, but especially from Moreness-Project. They are beyond the general understanding. They are beyond the norms. Because to do that, one needs to get out of the normal, usual understanding of this word, and of course, and of their self also. Because moreness is going beyond the usual, beyond the normal, beyond the convention, beyond the needs. And this is not an easy thing. To be
Yeah.
there, of course, we need first, of course, to have understanding the way of impeccability, more thorough understanding of your compatibility, and then going
Yeah.
to the moreness. And of course, even after that, it's not easy to do that.
Yeah. Go
But
beyond your instincts, in other words. Yes.
exactly, exactly. But it is not impossible. It
Instincts
is
and
possible.
habits. Oh,
Yes,
absolutely possible. Yes. Yes.
it is
Eh,
not
eh,
usual.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not innate, but
Yeah.
it is not impossible.
I mean, if we listen to Musashi, right? And Musashi was at the time in his day, he was the unquestionable master of sword fighting. Right? He was the champion. He was the man. He was the it, right? I think he had like
Yes.
69 duels, I think, and most of them to
Yes.
the death. So he was the man, right? But if you think about what made him do this, it's exactly what you were saying, Bina. Yes, that he had this
Yes.
ability to go and go beyond the expected, step outside of himself, do more. Yeah, break
Yes.
expectations.
Yes.
So moreness, in other
Yes.
words, to what he did.
Exactly. And it is the concept of moreness is super interesting. But I personally, my experience is that it was not clicking. I Sel was sharing this, of course, every day
Yeah,
in
yeah,
every Zoom session. Of course, in all his writing, he is, and of course, he was sharing the moreness. But I was not getting it. And one
yeah.
day, out of nowhere, we were just chilling, not doing something fun, and I just saw a post on Facebook, and someone asked that if you will have no limitation and no restriction of paying rent or buying something, where you would like to be. Of
To live
course, to live, of course. And
for a year, right? The question was, if you could choose anywhere at all to live in the world for a year, where would you
yes,
live? That was the question on
yes,
Facebook.
without having any restriction.
Yeah,
And I obligated. And then I was like, okay, yes, where to? And I was going through the conventional things. And suddenly Syl says, Hina, but why not if you read the question again? And I said, yes, I read that. And he said, no, read the question again. You're saying that anyway, you have no limitation here. And I was like, oh, okay. I was taking it, my mind was so conditioned with all the limitations and restrictions and
yeah,
conventions and norms that
yeah.
I was not even after reading that, I was not understanding that I had no restriction there.
Correct.
It was a
Correct.
freedom,
Because it's so
absolute freedom.
unconventional that when it came,
Exactly.
you didn't even see it. You couldn't recognize it.
Exactly. But I was like, no, I was reading that question and he says, read it again, Bina. And I was not getting it.
Oh,
And of course, the second time I got, and he explained it and I got it. And that was really the time it opened the door. That was the time it clicks and it says, oh,
Moreness clicked. Yeah, yeah.
yes. And then when we start sharing, okay, yes, what about Vatican? And what about this and this and this? And I was
Yeah,
like,
well, like the Vatican or the Louvre or the New York Stock Exchange, or in the monastery, that one in Greece on that tall pillar.
apps.
I forget the name. Starts
Exactly.
with an M. And we,
So
we came up with
it
this
was
long
a
list, right, of all these wonderful
yes.
places. It was fantastic.
And it was a very simple, fun question for anyone, like if they would swing that. But to
Yeah,
bringing moreness to that and
yeah,
being
yeah.
thorough, that was the real value in that question. Because I
Yes,
was
and
not able,
perspective
even
shifting.
exactly, the question was same for me and same for him.
Yeah,
But I was not getting it because my mind was so conditioned, so tuned
yeah,
with the norms,
yeah.
with the limitation, with the restrictions, with the conventions, and the usual. But because he was doing practice and really living like that, so he immediately get it, and
Yeah,
he says like no. And then just that exercise was life
yeah,
changing for me right there, because now I knew that there is more available out of norms, convention, usual.
Yes.
Out of known,
Yes.
there is more available, all caps, more available.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
something we are not actually able to see that or acknowledge that. That was the time it was really bringing. Of course, it was not like, okay, then now everything is done. Of course, I need to practice, I need to exercise because I'm still having that habit of the limitation and restriction. And of
Yeah.
course, not very
Yeah.
comfortable with the moreness. So I do get into the that old mindset or old way of being, but the reminder, oh no, no, okay, I can, and then of course I do get out of it, and that was
Yeah.
something. So to experience the moreness, this was just one exercise which was really life changing for me. But
Yeah.
of course it is not necessary that okay it is going to be for others also. Your moreness can come, your click can come out of course anything, and
Exactly. It's
but you have to do
your
that.
moreness.
Exactly. Yes.
Yours.
So but for that, you have to do that. No one
Yes.
else can do this. It is going to come once you will actually present yourself right there, able, ready to receive. This is
Exactly.
something we need to do. And this is what our actually way of impeccability is. We just accept that, yes, okay, these are the things. Acceptance is just acknowledgement. It's not like as old school spiritual ideas that, okay, I'm going to surrender my ego. It's on all that. No, it's not like that. But it's just to say that,
No.
okay, yes, I acknowledge, I understand now that it was limited and now I'm improving. And this is something
Right.
that we need to practice. And
Yes.
after that, just be present and say it out loud to universe. I'm here to receive moreness and see the magic.
Yes.
Feel the
Open,
magic.
open
You
to it,
will have
open
magic.
to it. Exactly.
Yes.
That's our biggest kind of, well, not biggest, but a huge limitation in life. We get what we expect. Problem is, our expectations are very limited. Our imagination is very limited. When we open up to saying, "Ow, there's moreness," this whole idea of moreness. In other words, there is value and usefulness, joy, extra, any superlative you can imagine, right? Beyond what I can imagine. That's moreness. Yeah? And then you access that, and it's like, wow, this is fantastic. I never imagined this could be like in that question. Yes, Bina read the question. It was kind of interesting, but it ended up getting so much moreness out of it when we came at it from way of impeccability, maximum perspective shifting, using our tools, using our mindset. Right? It was very profound. And that's the beauty of it. See, moreness is very connected to profound, to sublime. That's what profound is. Profound is a moreness. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Just,
Yes.
we don't have to live in the way that we think we have to or should or supposed to. Those are very limiting. So break the
Exactly.
limitations of the usual. Step outside, go beyond. Yeah. Very, very powerful. All right.
Okay.
Please continue, Bina. Please continue. I
No,
love
no,
it.
no,
I
no.
love what you're
This is
sharing. This
all what
is
I was
beautiful.
keen to share, because the moreness thing is something it's unusual. It's new.
Yeah.
We need more
Yeah.
explanation. We need
Correct.
more
Correct.
elucidation on
It's
that.
revolutionary, Bina. It's revolution.
Exactly.
Moreness,
Yes.
just this concept of moreness is revolutionary. But we've taken it all the way because that's part of wave impeccability. Think things through to the end. Yes, perspective shift to
Exactly.
multiple perspective. So moreness for us has become moreness culture because it's connected to Nobelia, which is a
Exactly.
moreness culture. It's not the only one, it's a moreness culture. So there's a whole moreness too, moreness and our usage of it in the context of moreness culture, particularly the Nobelia culture, Nobelia living. Yes, it's not necessarily one for everybody, but it's an example of what it could be. Develop your own cultures, develop your own moreness. You don't have to follow along with somebody else's. I think what moreness culture, the way we define it, it's in the abstract, it's broad, it's open. It can be applied specifically in any way you choose. But what's the abstract understanding? What makes it different is that you are choosing not to just follow along the default paradigm that we have, which is the superiority paradigm. It's not a particularly good paradigm. I would say the universe has put us into it because it is so rotten, it is so dreadful, and it kind of forces us. in sort of a nice way, in a way, but said, look, you're either going to suffer from this nonsense or change. Yeah. And in that changing, you create moreness. You learn to think more. You learn to expand your awareness. You learn to be more. You learn to shift out of this narrow limitations, yes, which are
Yes.
very restrictive, very inhibiting, and we don't even realize it. Very powerful, very, very powerful, beautiful also, right, Bina?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Moreness
Okay.
culture is truly something special. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. So
wonderful,
thank you so much
wonderful.
for joining us, Nazha, on Instagram. And please, if you are watching us recorded on YouTube, on Substack, or in the group Sassy, please do click like and
Yeah,
share and comment, because by
yeah,
doing so, you are going to help the algorithm, your
yeah,
online
yeah.
algorithm. You are going to train it by just giving you more of the more stuff like
Exactly.
this, and also that it is going to apply, of course, for future generations also. It's a big, profound,
Yeah,
just a small act of kindness, and it's just a small.
yeah.
We have DJ Writer also, I guess.
DJB right there. Yes, I saw
Okay,
that.
be
They
right
just joined
here.
right now. Yeah.
Welcome
Yes,
to the
welcome.
Moreness-Culture.
Yeah.
And today we were reading. It's an ongoing project that we are reading. Miyamura Musashi's book, The Book of Five Rings, or A Book of Five Ring. It is, and we are doing capital R reading of it. And Syl is providing us the context and some historical context, cultural context, and of course the spiritual context of at that time,
Moreness.
exactly, the samurai culture and all these things.
Yeah.
Not only
So
just
capital
that,
R reading is to extract that moreness, right? Not just
exactly.
in a historical context, but moreness from a spiritual context, an abstract context, a learning and growing context, an awareness context. Yeah. So we're looking at depth, at layered. In other words, it's a sophisticated reading. And yeah,
Yes.
you can do this with anything.
And this exercise is really powerful. Once you will do it, you'll do that by doing the Kevlar reading with us. I can say that because I have been practicing it. I'm very confident of
Yes.
that, that
You're
I have
skilled at
seen
it.
that.
You're skilled at it.
Once you will do that, this is not going to leave uh, throughout your life. You don't need to memorize anything. You don't need to like
Yeah.
really keep reading it again and again. No, it will become your understanding. The capital R reading is a process to read anything and make it your own understanding.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Very big
I
deal.
don't know that okay, any other exercise or process can give you so much guarantee of like okay, really a
Yeah.
guarantee of that. It will become your own. This is a big deal. And capital
Yeah.
R reading is this is something what we are doing. And not only
Yes.
that, of course, she still provides some context for the Miyamoto Musashi's writing, but also so much more it comes in this process of because he provides that
Yes.
understanding his perspective, not only his perspective but also he tried to share different perspectives of from different understandings. Like some people are
Yes.
like in the
Value.
primitive mindset, you will also understand that how they think, which is
Yeah.
of course not
Yeah.
his mindset, but he is able to do that and he is providing us. So capital R reading is such a profound concept and such a
Yeah.
profound
Yeah.
exercise
Yeah.
to enhance your awareness.
And it's not just useful for anybody, but also useful for writers in particular.
Exactly.
Yes, since
Yes.
DJB writer came on now. Yes, when we write, we sometimes say only the surface story. But in good writing, there's always an extra story, a double story beside what you're writing. There's the story of what's going on inside. Now, sometimes we write about that specifically, but we don't need to spell it out sometimes. We can imply it and let the reader hear that extra story. We can hear the story in the greater context. What is happening in the overall bigger picture? What are the implications? Right? When you add layers to your story, you make it interesting. When you only write on one level, it gets a bit boring. Yeah? It's a bit plain.
Okay, one more thing before we go that we are doing this except Saturday. We do this capital R reading. Of course, right now we are doing Miyamoto Musashi's book, but it is going to be like a continuous thing. We do
Correct.
read and we do practice and exercise capital R reading, the capital R reading of Syl's books also, which is such an interesting.
Yes.
So please, you can join us on Instagram, on YouTube, same name with the same name, Syl Sabastian's channel, and also on Substack. Also in the group, Sassy group is Syl's group. You can join us there also and be part of this capital R reading.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
time and every day except Sunday.
Yes. And also be
We
a
start
part of
at 10.
Moreness-Culture, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and
Okay.
and again, it's not we are looking to represent Moreness-Culture as a concept in the overall. We have a particular application from my fictional book series, the Biala series of Nobelia, the world of the new nobility, where nobleness, real actual nobleness, not hereditary and titles and that nonsense, real nobleness is a focus of that particular culture. But it's not the only culture in that world. There's the general culture out in the agglomeration, and in the agglomeration, it's set in the future, right? So got a science fiction base to it. In that there are particular planets, cultures that are very specific, like the university culture that Camillus comes from, one of the main characters, right? And likewise, there are subcultures within the general. Doesn't matter. They can all be Moreness cultures. All depends on how it's set up, right? Now the agglomeration is set up to encourage Moreness culture and to uh, combat against the default that's still there that we tend to respond to out of lack of awareness, which is superiority paradigm culture. Dreadful, right? It's lack of awareness culture. It's a scarcity culture. It's a fear culture, insecurity culture. Not good at all. So anyway, hopefully it's interesting, DJB writer, and hopefully we see you again. You came right at the end of it, but like Bina said, we do this every day. And every day starting in an hour and 20 minutes earlier than now, whatever your local time is, right? So we go from, well, 10 o'clock Mountain Time, Arizona time, 10 to 12. Sometimes we go longer, sometimes we shorter, but that's the time we set aside for it. Um, and at the moment, that would be, let's see, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is usually easy for people all over the world to see. But you can just take it as, if you're watching live, hour and 20 minutes before now. Brilliant, brilliant. All right, on that note, we'll end it, right, Bina?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful.
So thank
Glad
you
to
so
see you
much for
guys here.
joining
Hope to
us
see you again.
and would love to see you again. And if you have, of course, also that if you have something in your mind and if you are interested in some book which you feel that, okay, it is profound and you want to do the capital R reading of it, we are open for suggestions. If it will
Yeah,
be possible
yeah,
for us, then we will do that. Of course, we
correct.
cannot commit that, okay, it is going to happen right away because we have some scheduled things.
Yeah,
But we will definitely going to consider that. And if it is fun and if
absolutely.
it is possible, we will do the capital R reading of your
Oh,
choice.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, we are open
And
for that.
also, part of capital R reading is connection, interaction. In other words, comments, questions, etc. Right? Share them, share them, share. Yeah. Even if it's not, you don't think it's directly related, sharing. We love to be interactive. That's part of Moreness culture. It's a collaboration. The more those watching share and connect and question and comment, the more and the greater the collaboration is, and the more the moreness is. Yeah. So anytime you do that, 1 + 1 + 1 equals more. So whenever you share and comment, it adds moreness, right? Everyone benefits. It's a marvelous, beautiful thing. All right. On that note, we're going to end. Yes, Rena?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for joining us. See you guys tomorrow at same
Uh,
time at 10. Not
yes.
now, but next day.
Yes.
Okay. Bye for
Yes. Bye
now.
bye, buddy. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.